sim racing companies are revving up for what promises to be a very interesting autumn. Tons of news coming up right here, right now. This video is dedicated to the memory of Robert Redford, extraordinary actor, good director and founder of the Sundance Festival, a great place for independent cinema. Mr. Redford, thank you for all of it. Greetings from me, you're watching WromWrom, the channel sharing the joy of sim racing. I'm Serta and you're watching our regular news roundup, our weekly sim racing news. Now that we're all back home, the releases or their announcements start piling up. New racing games, new racing sims, new hardware, all enticing you to part with your hard-earned monies. Oh, and let me greet my neighbor who I just found out is also a sim racer. Hi mate. Won't say your name, but funny how the world turns, right? For him and for you all, the news. It's that time of the year once again where BeamNG drops tons of changes, hopefully all for the better. We are at version 0.37 and the star of the show is definitely the new Gabriel Grand Marshal limousine. The developers have stretched their existing sedan into a proper limo complete with interior lighting, a minibar and even a TV. While the marketing materials described it as luxurious and classy, it's worth noting that this is the same physics sandbox game where most vehicles end up as crumbed metal, so your mileage on the luxury experience may vary. The update brings more than just fancy rides though. The biggest quality of life improvement might be the overhauled vehicle selector, eliminating any performance issues there may have been before. They've rebuilt it from scratch with better search functionality and filtering options. Players can now favorite vehicles and see recently used ones at the top of the list. For those who enjoy creative distraction, BeamNG has updated several of their large props including spinners, rollers and cannons. The game has also introduced tire punctures and spike strips, adding a new layer of vehicle damage. Players can now experience the mundane frustration of a slow tire leak alongside the dramatic joy of vehicle destruction. On the technical side, the update includes the usual array of bug fixes and performance improvements. The developers have converted most remaining vehicle parts to their newer PBR system, which should make things look more consistent. They've also added brake disc glowing effects. The UI has received significant attention, with many elements being rebuilt using newer technology. While the developers promise better performance and smoother operation, these kinds of backend improvements are often more noticeable to developers than players, at least in the short term. Career mode, still labeled as early preview, has received some tweaks, including a simplified insurance system. I mean, managing insurance tiers and renewal plans seems unnecessarily complex and not the kind of crash you're here for, right? BeamNG continues to expand their mission content with new scenarios featuring the updated props. Mission names like the Blender Bowl and Grinder Grand Prix give you a pretty clear idea of what you're signing up for. I'd say this update is part of the ongoing evolution of BeamNG from a simple crash simulator into a more comprehensive automotive sandbox. What do you think? NASCAR 25 will be available from October 14th on for consoles. It won't arrive to Steam until November 11th, which in my opinion means it will be more a racing game than a sim. And now I fear the IndyCar one will also be a game rather than a sim, which would be a waste of excellent racing. I mean, we already have IndyCars, don't call them IndyCars in Automobilista 2, and the IR18 in R-Factor, but still. Anyway, polish your controller if you like NASCAR. NASCAR 25 will cost $60 in the standard edition and $80 hard-earned dollars in the so-called Gold Edition, with the as always quite useless 72 hours early access. This time even more useless as it will only be active for console buyers. Steam buyers won't get it. There will also be a season pass at the tune of $25. Speaking of consoles, Rennsport is scheduled to be released for them on November 13th. There's some pre-order bonus thing, but it's even worse than the NASCAR 25 one, so I'll spare you the details. RaceRoom will deploy a big update next Wednesday, bringing the BMW M Hybrid V8, the Lamborghini SC63 and the Porsche 963 to the sim, including, and I quote, full simulation of the hybrid system, ICE engine maps, brake migration, and virtual energy management. They also plan to release yet another big improvement of their graphics. And it seems they have changed quite a lot of stuff in their engine, as they have advised third-party developers to take a look at the way they are going to do shared memory from that date on and adapt their software accordingly. Project Motor Racing must have a leak problem, because they are dripping one news tidbit a week. This week, it's the info that the 1998 Panos Esperante GTR1 will be part of the sim. Simocube are teasing their Simocube 3 to be released soon. And no matter how much begging, extortion, bribing and begging once again we've tried, they've not told us what it is. But considering their last base was called Simocube 2, well, put 2 and 2 together, right? Or rather, put 2 and 1 together. iRacing has delivered another comprehensive update focusing on user interface refinements, car adjustments, and track maintenance across their simulation platform, in line with their development update we talked about last week. The user interface received numerous fixes addressing various quality of life issues that have been nagging players. The FOV calculator finally gets its imperial and metric units sorted out, which was the reason it was delivering incorrect field of view calculations, and the session screen now has better contrast with a new gradient behind the steering wheel, while the drive screen reorganizes clock placement and adds larger sizing options for the virtual mirror and delta bar. One of the more practical improvements involves black box controls that were wandering off after being moved around. They'll now stay put when transitioning between screens. The garage screen also gets some attention with better spacing and centered elements that should make navigation smoother. The car roster sees widespread setup updates for numerous vehicles. The hybrid system in GTP cars gets some meaningful fixes, addressing deployment issues that were cutting out unexpectedly after a few laps, and Mercedes F1 cars received battery state of charge display fixes and improved attack mode functionality, though this comes with the trade-off of greater battery drain. Dirt racing enthusiasts get a small quality of life improvement with raised collision thresholds, allowing for more aggressive wall contact before receiving incident points, acknowledging that dirt racing naturally involves more contact with track boundaries. The track update section reads like a comprehensive maintenance log, with some terrain seams have been patched appearing for nearly every oval track. Other than that, these fixes mostly address visual inconsistencies that can break immersion during races. Sonoma Raceway receives more attention with missing UI images added and various visual touch-ups completed. The audio system gets hybrid motor tuning and fixes for mixing issues, while control improvements focus on better Fanatic wheel auto detection. A new setting allows users to display sound levels in decibels rather than generic slider values. The extensive list of fixes suggests iRacing is systematically working through player feedback and known issues, even if individual improvements might seem minor on their own. The sheer volume of iRacing setups have been updated. Entries across different car classes indicate significant behind-the-scenes work, though users will need to test these changes themselves to determine their real-world impact on lap times and handling characteristics. iRacing devs for sure don't lose their special humor, noting that at Watkins Glen, levitating track marshals have been grounded since they do not need to practice that behavior at work. If you like what we're doing here on WromWrom and want to support us, it's easy, just a few clicks. Like, subscribe, and set the notification bell. Takes less than a Hamilton pit stop. Thanks for your support. Le Mans Ultimate is rolling out its latest update on September 23rd, bringing the European Le Mans series to virtual racers everywhere. The good news is that all players get access to the ELMS race weekend format for free on existing tracks, along with official ELMS liveries and an updated LMP2 car with revised physics. The team has even added a new icon to help distinguish between different LMP2 specifications, which should clear up some menu confusion. The ELMS content will arrive as 3 separate DLC packs, each containing 1 car and 1 track. Pack 1 launches alongside the update, Pack 2 is slated for later this year, and Pack 3 will arrive in early 2026. Individual packs cost £9 British, €10 or $12 or you can grab the season pass for £22 British, €24 or $29 with a limited time 10% launch discount sweetening the deal. Pack 1 brings Silverstone. The track comes with a national pit lane configuration at launch, though the developers promise to add Grand Prix pit lane and shorter layout options later. They're also planning to boost grid sizes to 44 cars on existing ELMS tracks in a future update. The car side features the Ligier JSP 325. The custom livery feature is getting some practical improvements. You can now use custom liveries in single-player race weekend sessions instead of needing to hop into online hobbies. Custom numbers are finally working properly, and liveries now work across all server types. The new Livery Hub partnership with SimGrid lets creators share their work publicly with searchable tags, making it easier to find and download community creations. Just remember, you'll need a Race Control Pro subscription to access these features, which the developers justify as covering infrastructure costs and content moderation. League racers get some relief from European-only servers with new options in Asia and North America. While the team talks up their industry-leading netcode, they acknowledge that physics still beats technology when it comes to long-distance latency issues. And I'd be surprised if their netcode is better than iRacing's. But I'm open to a deep technical discussion. Any LMU devs wanna take me on that? The car selection interface has been streamlined again, Track IR support arrives natively, and there is a new simplified Chinese language option thanks to community contributor Shudong. And I hope I didn't butcher the name, sorry if I did, mate. Driver ranking brackets are also getting rebalanced, which means some silver ranked players might see their ratings drop after the update. The developers tease continued work on a career mode, promise more anti-griefing tools for the next release, and target hosted team endurance races as another upcoming feature.